everybody. Dan Illman, Ashley Mailloux. It's Cal Cup Saturday at Santa Anita, and our DRF race of the day is the 9th, the unusual Heat Turf Classic. Some nice Calbredder sired runners going 1.125 miles on the turf. Let's take a peek at this field. I thought this was a pretty competitive heat, Ashley. You've got a lot of different things going on here. Some good speed types like the 3 Bally's Charm, some old backclassers like the 10 Royal En Rando, sharp horses stretching out in distance like the 5 Kings River Knight. It's a fun race.
It is, and I think the 1.125 miles is going to be the key here because you mentioned there's some horses that their speed types, they're going to have to go a little bit further in distance. There's other horses that based on their last couple, their closers, maybe they want a little bit more distance and they might get the setup. So I agree. I think it's a very competitive field of 10 top to bottom.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector for this race. We're expecting a pretty quick pace. Bally's Charm was on the lead last time out in the Lure going a mile. He's won at 1.125 miles in the past. I'm thinking they're going to try to make the lead with him. Kings River Knight's versatile. He can rally from off the pace as he did going down the hill last time out. He can also get forward. I think to avoid a duel, maybe Juan Hernandez would like to sit just off Bally's Charm.
I agree, and I think looking at the last two, I know one was on the dirt, one was on the downhill sprinting, but he's been comfortable sitting just a couple off of them. And as you've mentioned, Dan, you go down the page, go to his races, say a year or so ago, he is very comfortable riding regardless of the distance. And I think that might be the right move for him, just knowing that Bally's Charm is speed and speed throughout.
Never want to sleep on a horse like the number 1, None Above the Law. This guy's banked over $500,000. He's going to pick up Joel Rosario for Peter Miller. His last race was on dirt against the Chosen Vron, who's the best Calbredder sired sprinter out there. That race probably just didn't suit him. And 2 starts back when he was beaten by Kings River Knight, the distance might have been a bit sharp and he didn't get the cleanest trip.
I agree. And I think if you're looking at his races, say in 2023, his best one was probably 4 back when he went 1.116 miles, the comparable distance. And he was able to make up a little bit of ground in the final stages and pass a couple of horses. The concern I'd have, obviously, in endorsing in the top spot, it's been a long time since he's been to the winner's circle. It's been over 2 years. But outside of that, you look at him, his numbers fit this field. And I do think he's a horse that should be fine at the 1.125 miles distance.
It has been a long drought, though, the 2021 Del Mar Derby. He's got back class. He might need the right trip and setup from the back of the pack. Carmelita's Man is the number 2. This was coming off a little short layoff, about 2.5 months. And last time out, I wonder if he was just compromised going 1.125 miles. It was a race where he tried to rally from off of the pace. There wasn't a lot going on from the back of the pack that day, and he just gave an even performance. From a class standpoint, he has shown that he could handle Calbreds in the past, winning the California Dream in 3 back.
And I think, you look at his performance in this race last year, I think he's actually a little bit better since then. I know he's not necessarily winning all of his races, but he does have a win. We saw that, as you mentioned, 3 back in the California Dream and is going 1.116 miles. I think his efforts since then, even the race 2 back. I mean, Bally's Charm ends up winning it, but look at the opposite of trips that this one got. He had to close from off of it and was full of late runs. So I think if you're looking for a price horse, maybe in the exotics, he'd be one to look at underneath, say, in a trifecta, just because he's going to close late. The 1.125 miles isn't an issue for him as well.
I agree. He was the beaten favorite in this race last year. It'll be a much bigger price in the 2024 edition. I just think he's going to get a much kinder pace setup for his late running ways this time around compared to his most recent start. Bally's Charm, the number 3, is in excellent form for trainer Jeff Mullins. He got a great ride in the Lure Stakes last time out, where he was able to back things down to a 24-second opening quarter, and it looks like he is home free at the 8th pole. But let's be honest, the horse that runs him down, Easter, might be one of the better middle distance horses in all of California.
Yeah, you stole my thunder, Dan. I mean, Easter is a good horse. He's only going to miss here by half a length, and he did all kinds of the dirty work on the front end. So I think Bally's Charm makes a lot of sense. I think looking at him, he's better now as of late as well. I know they had kind of dabbled in those Calbred races prior to that, and he'd been so-so at best. But his speed certainly is an asset. He loves Santa Anita. And, he figures to be forwardly placed. Can he get 1.125 miles? That's probably the biggest question. I know he's been good at the distance in the past. He's a 2-time winner, but his last couple have been shorter, especially at the mile in those last 2 tries.
Easter, of course, came back to win a couple of Grade 2 stakes races. Bally's Charm's been given time to recover from that effort. For me, it's all about how fast does he have to go? Are they going to press him hard? Because if not, he could be long gone. The 4 is Moan Rim, who took a big step forward from a Beyer speed figure standpoint last time out, going this distance albeit on the Tapeta surface at Golden Gate Fields. Moan Rim is going to get it done in this race. I thought the pace situation really worked to his advantage. It looked like they were cooking up front, and he was able to put off the best finish. Is he as good on turf as he is on synthetic? That's the big question.
Yeah, he's going to get tested here. We haven't seen him on the turf, at least at Santa Anita, in quite some time. And it was earlier in his career. He had a big gap between the races as well. So maybe he is a different horse now, I think, coming into this race. He looks good, but you cannot forget the fact that, yes, that's his second career win, and his maiden score was just 2 starts prior to that win. So maybe he's getting good at the right time, but to me, this is a big, big test for him.
The number 5, Kings River Knight. Trainer John Sadler's done a superb job with this horse. 6 starts, 4 wins, 2 seconds, including this win in the California Flag, going down the hill at 6.5 furlongs. The pace was fast, but he made a prolonged wide move on the turn. And once he sweeps past everybody, he wins very comfortably. The 4th place finisher in this race is a nice dirt horse, Brickyard Ride, who placed in the San Antonio in his next start, a graded stakes race.
We always joke about horses we wouldn't mind owning. I think if I wanted a cow, a bred runner, Kings River Knight is probably up there on my list just because of his versatility as well, Dan, right? We know that he can sprint on the turf, he can go long, he can also race on the dirt. He's just a versatile type who, look at his record. I mean, his record speaks for himself. I also like the fact that when we showed the time for him, US pace projections, he doesn't need the lead. He could be very close to it, or he could sit off of it and make that one run. And I think, on paper, he looks tough in here, and he's just been consistent through and through.
Looks like the light bulb's gone on for the 6 Silent Heat in his last few races. And I like the versatility that this one has shown. Gate to wire winner, 2 starts back at this distance, then rallying from off of a fast pace last time out at Del Mar. This is in mid-November against Calbred first level allowance runners. And he showed that he was pace adaptable. They went fast, he settled, he finished. And one of the also-rans came back to win a similar race with an 87 buyer.
I think it was a smart ride, too. The rider was getting back aboard after not being aboard 2 starts back and made the decision, we're not fast enough. We're not going to even press this early on. We're going to sit and make one late run. And I thought that helped his chances. I agree. I do like the way that he's won those last 2 in different style. And now they're going to bump him up. Another one that's going into deeper waters. You never know what happens, but his recent form is by far his best.
Allegato, the number 7, is a very dangerous closer. He won this race in 2023 from way back. In 2022 from way back. He just missed last year, and his most recent start was against some really good open second level allowance horses against Almendarez, who's a really sharp horse right now. Allegato will get up for second. The 4th place horse would come back to win at this level with a 94 buyer. The pace should be fast. Pratt picks up the mount. This guy's going to be rolling late.
He's going to be rolling late, and I like that Pratt is going to climb aboard. I guess the concern is, as impressive as he is closing late, he almost breaks your heart. At least he broke your heart every time in 2023, not being able to get it done. And I always wonder, should he be a little bit closer? Is that just his running style? And to me, I just think it's running style at this point in his career. He's just trying to catch horses in the end that they just have a little bit of a jump on him. Now here, I do think returning to a mile and an eighth, that really should help his chances. And I mentioned I'm a big fan of the rider change.
Rondo, the number 8, is a stakes winner over the Tapeta surface at Golden Gate Fields. He's only raced once previously on turf. That was 2 starts back. It wasn't the greatest performance. It preceded a lengthy layoff. I wonder if Steve Specht used his most recent start on the synthetic as a prep to get to this race. Frankie Dettori takes them out. He's got to prove he's as good on turf as he is on the all-weather.
He's only had that one turf try. It was 2 starts back. He didn't show too much, but, it was his second race off a layoff. He went back to the shelf for a little bit and returned to the races, as you mentioned, Dan. So they're going to try something new with him once again. He comes in here off a career best buyer, but he didn't even place in the top 3 in that race. So another one that certainly could take a step up second time off the layoff, but it's going to need to be a huge step.
The number 9, Catalina Eddie, has some things to like. He's very lightly raced. It's possible we've yet to see his best, and he's won 2 of his 3 turf starts, with the excuse last time out being that it was his first race off of a fairly lengthy layoff. I think he gained a lot of fitness, pushing a quick pace before tiring. Maybe he can sit a good trip in 3rd or so. The distance is a bit of a question mark.
It'll be interesting if they're able to get him to sit as well. I think, they did stretch him out to a mile. That was back in April. He was forward once again, and at least the fractions were a little bit more sensible. He actually won that race, and he was close to the pace early on. Then they cut him back to 6.5 off that long layoff, and he was geared up. I mean, they went really quick. I know he wasn't the pace setter, but he was, pressing the pace and chasing throughout and tired. So he should be more fit, as you've mentioned. The question, though, will be the 1.1 miles distance. And I think for him, you'll wonder what Kazushi Kimura will do, because he's been aboard him in most of his starts so far. I know that he's a forward type. hopefully, if he is going to be forward, you've mentioned it, he can relax just off the pace. But who knows? He could also try to press Valley's Charm.
The number 10 is Royal En Rando. He'll complete the field. He is a stakes winner on turf, although he's made most of his bank on the synthetic. His last race was okay, going a mile at Golden Gate Fields. He's down on the inside here. He gives an even finish against a good field of open allowance horses. The runner-up came back to win an allowance there with a 90 Beyer speed figure. He's the kind of horse that has a little bit of a puncher's chance from the back of the pack. I'm a little concerned that he might not be the best overall closer in the field, though.
No, I don't think he's the best closer, and he is a closer, as you've mentioned. He does have a nice drill coming into this race and an interesting work two back right before the holidays. He sent him a mile for a workout, so maybe they're trying to prepare him to go a mile and eighth. Go down the page. It's been a while. He actually raced in this race last year, but I'm just not sure in terms of his closing style as well. If his late turn of foot is as strong as some others, especially a horse such as Elegado.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for Saturday's race of the day, the Unusual Heat Turf Classic. We kind of see it the same way, same exact, a different order. Kings River Knight's versatility could help him. I'm a little worried that the 9, the stretch out sprinter, pushes my top pick Valley's Charm a bit.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to the pace here. I think all of these horses are pretty talented when we're talking about the top two here, Valley's Charm and Kings River Knight. And for me, I think the big deciding factor is just the consistency and the running style of the 5. I think it's going to really set up for this race in a mile and an eighth. He does not need the lead. He should be close enough to it so that when he makes the late run, hopefully he's on top. But I think Valley's Charm, Dan, he's the other logical horse. If he is lonely for some reason, someone doesn't break, someone decides to sit off of him, and he sets reasonable fractions, he could be gone.
And a little class relief could go a long way for him after facing the very good Easter last time out. Nice race. 5-3-7-2 for Ashley, 3-5-1-2 for me. It's your Saturday race of the day at the Great Race Place. Best of luck.